In January 1913, a poor clerk in Madras, India, sent a letter to Cambridge University. It was 9 pages of dense, handwritten mathematics, no introduction, no explanation, no proofs. Just results, over 100 of them. Formulas about prime numbers, infinite series, and things the clerk said he'd discovered himself. The clerk was 25 years old, had almost no formal training, and had never met a working mathematician in his life. He signed it simply, S. Ramanujan. And he asked a question that could have ended the story before it began. Do you think I am mad? The letter landed on the desk of G.H. Hardy, one of the most famous mathematicians in England, a man famous for 2 things, his genius and his impatience with anything less than it. Hardy received crank letters constantly, people who had solved impossible problems or squared the circle. He almost threw this one away too. But he didn't. He stared at one formula long enough to feel it was something else entirely. An infinite series that computed the digits of pi, the kind of formula that a talented mathematician might spend a lifetime trying to find, stated as a matter of course, with no derivation, in a letter from a clerk. Hardy later said of the letter, "They must be true, because if they were not true, no one would have had the imagination to invent them." Srinivasa Ramanujan was born in 1887 in a small town in southern India, to a family so poor his mother worked as a temple singer. He was not a child prodigy in the usual sense. He was quiet, ordinary, obsessed. When he was 16, he found a borrowed copy of a strange book, a list of 6,000 mathematical formulas with almost no explanations. A catalogue of results that had taken Europe 3 centuries to build. He didn't read it, he absorbed it. He worked through every formula and started inventing his own. Then he fell apart academically. He failed his college exams twice, not for lack of brilliance, but because he wouldn't study anything that wasn't mathematics. He ended up as a clerk at the Madras Port Trust, earning a salary that barely covered food, writing mathematics in his spare time, often on a slate with chalk, because paper was too expensive. When he ran out of room, he'd record the results in a notebook. He later told a friend that his results came to him in dreams, revealed by the goddess Namagiri. An equation, he said, has no meaning for him unless it expresses a thought of God. Over his short life, Ramanujan filled 3 notebooks with results, roughly 3,900 theorems, written without proofs. Some were centuries old, rediscovered in isolation. Euler's results, Gauss's, the Rogers-Ramanujan identities, so beautiful that another mathematician had found them only 19 years earlier, and they were still considered obscure. Some were ahead of their time. Statements about prime numbers and infinite series that mathematicians would not be able to prove for decades. And buried in all of it, one genuinely wrong formula, an estimate about the number of primes that failed. A single error in nearly 4,000 results. When Hardy and his collaborator Littlewood examined the letter, they found something stranger than genius. Ramanujan wasn't guessing. His formulas agreed with known results to fantastic precision. They had to be true, Littlewood said, because no one could invent so many complicated results and be wrong. They brought him to Cambridge in 1914. The Hardy-Ramanujan collaboration became one of the most productive partnerships in the history of mathematics. Hardy later told the most famous story about Ramanujan, the story of the number 1729. He visited Ramanujan in hospital and mentioned the taxi he'd ridden in. Rather a dull number, he said, 1729. No, Ramanujan said, it is a very interesting number. It is the smallest number expressible as the sum of 2 cubes in 2 different ways. 1 cubed plus 12 cubed, 9 cubed plus 10 cubed, both equal 1729. Hardy, who knew Ramanujan better than anyone, still couldn't explain it. Every integer, he said, was Ramanujan's personal friend. But Ramanujan was dying. He'd left India for the cold of England, and his health collapsed within 3 years. In his last year, confined to a bed, he wrote one more series of results, pages so strange, so far from anything known, that mathematicians called them his mock theta functions, and for 80 years no one knew what they were. He died in 1920. He was 32. Ramanujan's life was short, but the verification of his work took the best part of a century. His claims about prime numbers became the Ramanujan conjecture, a statement about a function he invented, the tau function, so deep that proving it took the combined machinery of algebraic geometry, and won the mathematician Pierre Delisle the Field's Medal in 1978. His work on infinite series turned out to power modern methods for computing pi formulas that appear in computer science textbooks today. And the mock theta functions, the strangest pages of all, sat unproven for 80 years. Nobody could even say what they were about. In 2002, a mathematician named Sanders Wedgers finally decoded them, showing they were part of a larger structure called mock modular forms. And then the physicists arrived. It turned out that Ramanujan's mock theta functions describe something he could never have imagined: the counting of black hole states in string theory. A clerk in Madras, writing on a slate in 1919, had invented mathematics that describes the information stored by black holes. And then, 56 years after his death, there was one more twist. In 1976, a mathematician named George Andrews was sorting through a box of old papers at Trinity College, Cambridge. Inside, he found a stack of loose sheets in Ramanujan's handwriting. Hundreds of formulas, never published, never numbered, as if they'd been torn from a notebook and forgotten. It became known as the Lost Notebook, and it turned out to be a goldmine. Among its pages were results about partitions, the ways you can split a number into smaller parts. Ramanujan had calculated that the number 200 has exactly 3,972,999,029,388 partitions. A number he wrote down from pure intuition. He'd also noticed a pattern so strange it looked like magic. The number of partitions of any number that leaves remainder 4 when divided by 5 is always divisible by 5. The same held for 7 and for 11. No one could explain it. Decades later, these hidden symmetries turned out to be tied to the deepest structure of mathematics, modular forms, the same shapes at the heart of Wiles's proof of Fermat's last theorem. Ramanujan, working alone in the dark, kept brushing against the same hidden machinery that modern mathematics would spend a century building. So how did he do it? No one has ever fully answered that. Hardy, who knew him best, said his gift was unlike anything else in mathematics, that Ramanujan combined the natural genius of Euler with a culture and depth of insight that no one has ever matched. Modern mathematics verified his results, one by one. The mock theta functions were proven. The lost notebook was deciphered. The conjectures were proved. Almost nothing he wrote was wrong. But the deeper mystery is not whether his formulas were true. It's how a man with almost no formal training, isolated from every mathematical community on Earth, could look at numbers and simply see things that took the greatest minds of the next century to verify. He claimed the answers came to him in dreams, from the goddess Namagiri. Whether you believe that or not, the mathematics doesn't care. It's true. And to the mathematician who spent his life trying to explain it, do you think I am mad? No, you just saw further than the rest of us. Here's the thing about Ramanujan that still stops mathematicians cold. He wasn't taught this mathematics. He found it. Alone, in poverty on the other side of the world, he reached into the same unseen structure of numbers that the best minds in Europe were still uncovering, and he got there first. His life is the cleanest proof we have that mathematical truth doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care where you were born, how much money you had, or whether the world was listening. It only cares whether you're right. And a clerk in Madras was right about almost everything he touched. A record that modern mathematics is still trying to explain, one proven formula at a time. If you want more stories of impossible people and the numbers that prove them right, hit subscribe. And tell me in the comments, do you believe the formulas came from a goddess or from somewhere stranger? Either way, the answer is still true.